I visited Gaza after being away for 10 years. I didn't realize that that visit was going to be the last. And I was the last person to shoot and film the beauty and resilience of Gaza. So it was an archive. Now, I mean, I had a treasure in my hand, but everything I filmed became an archive. And this film is 50 minutes long in English. It's a contrast with how Gaza was before the genocide and how it is right now. And I spent 2 months there. I reconnected with the city of my birth. I met my family members, friends. I visited many places, but 2 months was not enough after being away for 10 years. And I wanted to show the world this is Gaza, because I traveled to so many countries around the world, and I received some requests from my followers. They wanted me to show them my city. Gaza is a city in the Gaza Strip, and the Gaza Strip is part of historic Palestine. And the only way for us to go to Gaza is via Egypt. We land at Cairo airport and we take a transportation to the Rafah crossing. But now the Rafah crossing is closed for the past year. It's an Egyptian-Palestinian border, but Israel dictates on the Egyptians to close it or to open it, unfortunately.
The current blockade, it's been going on since 2007 in its most severe form, where the Israelis control every single thing that comes in and everybody that goes out, you know, whether it's for medicinal treatment or whatever. And that's rare if someone gets out for treatment. Sometimes they can go on a scholarship to university. You hear about that occasionally. But really, it's been going on since the founding of the State of Israel back to 1948.
Gaza is considered the world's largest open-air prison. Mm-hmm. And I call it the world's largest concentration camp since 1948, because 2/3 of Gaza population are originally descendants of refugees who were forced to flee in 1948 towards Gaza and elsewhere in the region. And half of the population in Gaza are young people below the age of 18. Mm-hmm. And it's the most densely populated spot on Earth. And this concentration camp has been recently transformed into an extermination camp, because people have no safe place to go. There's no bunkers, and there are no access points. We have Gaza's 40-kilometer long beach on the Mediterranean is blockaded by Israeli gunships, and also the other areas surrounded by Israel. So Israel controls Gaza's airspace, territorial waters, and border crossings. Anything goes in, anything goes out. It controls the frequency, controls the electricity, the water, the birth registry, controls the air, everything. So it's a big prison. And Palestinians, they have adapted to this prison. They have decorated the prison, despite the fact we don't have an airport or seaport. But people love their homeland. You know, I was away in London for 10 years, and I was willing to quit London and go and relocate and live in Gaza. We love our country.
The people I've talked to there, despite what's going on with them, they have been nothing but encouraging to me. And just full of life and talking about how they want to do this and they have other dreams and they want to do that. And, you know, despite what's happening around them, like when the ceasefire happened too, briefly around January, you could see immediately they wanted to get back to reality. They weren't even thinking about whether or not this would start again.
This is a testament and evidence that Palestinians love life. You know, we want to have a better future without colonization, without Israeli occupation and control. And because we are not going to vanish, we refuse to die. We refuse to disappear. We refuse to raise the white flag. The Israelis are doing their best in order to ethnically cleanse us, to make life unbearable, unlivable, not suitable for human, presence. But because we have no alternative to go to, we have to rebuild. We have to quickly, rebuild what we could, because Israel doesn't want life in Gaza, because Gaza is a ticking bomb. Gaza, it constitutes headache to Israel, because Israel is worried from the demographic growth. We have nearly 5 million people. They live in a small piece of land, 40-kilometer long, 5-kilometer wide. That's it. And those masses, those people, they in the southern part of historic Palestine, and Israel as an occupying power, it doesn't want to be held responsible for the welfare of the people under its occupation. They claim they left Gaza in 2005, but they redeployed their forces and they control everything. So they want to drive people out. They don't want to be responsible to look after the welfare and needs of 2.5 million people.
Right. And then they use that to make you look bad if you criticize Israel. because mainstream in America, it's not being reported about all the deaths, about the way they're dying, the starvation, all that in Gaza. But when 2 embassy staffers are shot, which is, of course, a tragedy, but their lives are not worth more than the people in Gaza that you haven't been talking about. But they're going to make you look bad for talking about those people in Gaza because it's insensitive because of what happened in DC.
They have been demonizing us for decades. They have been dehumanizing us for decades. And they think they want to convince you that Palestinian blood is less valuable than Israeli blood. And this is the white supremacy, the racism, the discrimination, the double standards. I mean, Israeli officials clearly and publicly, they said that we need to kill their children. They consider all Palestinians in Gaza as enemy. No one is innocent. What kind of human being says that? And the Western media doesn't pick on these statements. And that attack, although some people say it's gaslighting, it's a fake flag, it's just a flag, because the timing of that accident or incident is significant because it came shortly after Israel is under huge pressure, criticism by its allies, the UK, France, Canada, and so on. And everybody is asking Netanyahu to stop the genocide, stop the bloodshed, allow humanitarian aid in, stop, this collective punishment. And now, it's like as of those two people that we feel sorry for the loss, as of those two individuals, there were more than 2.5 million people. Right. People have been slaughtered in Gaza for the past 20 months, for the past 600 days. And no one give a damn about us, because they don't consider us as human beings. Israel has got a powerful propaganda machine. And I think despite this investment in this propaganda machine, they have failed miserably to convince the world that they are truthful. The lies and the fabrications and so on that emerged, 1 year and a half following that accident. People, they don't believe these lies anymore. So Israel wants to play the victim card all the time. They want to shed crocodile tears. They want to gain sympathy of the world. Oh, anti-Semitism and so on. Well, the world is sick of these, justifications. Hamas. Fuck this. At the end of the day, you are considered. They consider themselves the most competent army in the world. So why on earth you are targeting civilians and killing children alive, burning journalists alive, medics, civil defense crews? You're attacking markets, you're attacking residential houses. What's this to do with rescuing your captives in Gaza? They have a clear plan to wipe out Gaza, transform it into a parking lot, as they say, in order also to pressure neighboring countries to absorb millions of Palestinians. I think the end game here is that the Israelis are stuck. Netanyahu is suffering from a dilemma. He's under pressure from his own people to stick to the ceasefire deal in order to release the captives, because military pressure in Gaza showed us that it doesn't work. The resistance in Palestine, they will not bow to this so-called pressure. And also there's a pressure on him from his allies, from the world. People are marching continuously until this moment, millions taken to the streets. And people see the videos coming from the ground, despite Meta and other platforms to shut us down, to silence us. I lost my 1 million account. They are scared. But what's really ironic is that the IOF, those criminals who killed civilians in Gaza, they brag and share their videos online. And their accounts untouched. Like, what's this? Is it like this is a clear hypocrisy? We are sharing videos coming from the ground. They are not fabricated. Although on the other side, it's like they laugh at us and they smile and they, break in burst into laughs when they detonate residential houses. They use Gaza as a testing ground, as a game site. They transformed Gaza as a Hunger Game site. Do you remember when they were dropping the parachutes?
Yes. They
were enjoying the scenes. Like if you watch that Hunger Game film, exactly the same. They dropped the aid, and many people lost their lives because some of the aid landed on the sea and people drowned, and many of those aid parcels fell on people's heads and tents. So it's a humiliation. It's a way to degrade Palestinians, to make them beg for mercy. And this did not happen for the past 20 months.
Now, you were talking about Hamas, and I think this is something important because people who often don't focus on this, they just write them off because they're labeled terrorists. And it's not about supporting Hamas, but it's about understanding Hamas. There's a great book actually called Understanding Hamas by Helena Corbin and Rami Curie. You've probably heard of that. So can you just talk a little bit about who is Hamas? What is Hamas?
Hamas is part of the Palestinian nation. They are not from abroad like ISIS or Daesh. They didn't come from the moon. Those guys, they don't constitute the majority. They won the elections in 2006. And when they won the election, they were boycotted by Israel, by the EU, by Russia, by other countries, including the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, the secular movement. So Hamas is the result of the occupation. It's a natural product of the colonization, the oppression, the injustice. And those people who carried that attack, they lost their parents. Israel killed their parents. Israel ethnically cleansed them. They forced them to leave their towns and villages in historic Palestine. So when they grew up, they picked up arms to resist. But again, let me remind the audience, during the March of Return, people in Gaza marched peacefully, carrying flags and shouting slogans peacefully. And Israel killed hundreds of them like sitting ducks. This is a proof that Israel, even non-violent struggle is not allowed.
Right.
Peaceful struggle is not allowed. So people are wondering what we have to do. Just accept this in slavery, accept this colonization forever. Vietnam and other countries, how they gain their independence? By resistance. You know, the colonizers, they wouldn't, leave. They have to be under pressure to feel the pressure, and then they can leave.
Well, and according to international law, you're allowed to resist occupation and apartheid. What's not the law is what was said last summer by the International Court of Justice. They declared the occupation officially illegal. I mean, all the human rights organizations have been saying that anyway. It's been declared illegal by an international court. So resistance to that is actually legally allowed.
It seems that they are determined to make life in Gaza unlivable, because they have destroyed almost 80% of the housing units in Gaza. So, and also they refuse to allow tents and caravans, and they refuse to allow electricity back on, and also water. And they claim that they are willing to allow some 80 trucks. For the past 3 months, they did not allow any single truck. And they allowed one single truck of medical supplies. And then a few hours later, they bombed the warehouse where those medical supplies are stored. They are laughing at the world. And Gaza needs at least 600 aid of trucks every day for over 2 years coming. And the starvation is ongoing, the suffering is ongoing. So I think the Israelis, they have a plan to empty Gaza, but they are looking for any country that is willing to absorb Palestinians. They were trying to convince Egypt to absorb us to the desert of Sinai. Palestinians say, no way, in your dreams. Jordan said no, but maybe this is only for media consumption. Maybe at some point they will have to agree. They tried with some African countries to absorb Palestinians, Somalia. They tried with Europe. Europe says no. So they want to finish the job that they started in Nakba in 1948. They didn't want Palestinians to stay there. They are destroying the dream of the Palestinian state. Even the Palestinians in the West Bank are suffering miserably. Settler, fierce, cruel, savage attacks by the settlers in the West Bank happen on a daily basis. And this goes in silence because the attention now is in Gaza. So the Smotrich, the finance minister, and this idiot, evil monster, Ben-Gvir, the security minister, they clearly, publicly, they say that we don't want Palestinians to stay. Kill them. No one is innocent. Their media is inciting against the Palestinians. And the world is shocked. But why the world doesn't move and take action? This is the thing. Are they worried? Are they afraid? Maybe they don't want to anger the United States. So it's hard to tell how Israel is going to empty the land. Are they going to send planes to lift people out? Are they going to send cruise ships? It's an unimaginable situation. It's not going to happen. People are not willing to become refugees again. They want to stay on the land. And Gaza already was the Riviera of the Middle East. We had resorts, we had hotels, we had restaurants, cafes, infrastructure. We had a lovely, nice life despite living in a piggy prison. So I think there will never be peace or stability in the region as long as Israel occupies Palestinian land. And by the way, Israel has orphaned over 50,000 children. Imagine what's the future of those children. Do you think they will forget or forgive?
No way.
So I think the ultimate solution is that Israel has shot itself in the head. I don't think it will be able ever to polish its image. The whole world is shocked from this impunity. Israel has crossed all red lines, has violated all international laws and conventions. Israel has, portrays itself as a democracy, but this is a big joke. The most moral army, no way. We see how they kill paramedics, civilians, journalists. They attack markets, bakeries. Even those who are protecting the aid convoys coming to Gaza, they're being attacked. So they have the free will to do anything in Gaza. I think that the only thing that they didn't do is to drop a nuclear bomb, because think about it. They are doing in Gaza, what they are doing is a slow motion genocide. You have hundreds of thousands of chronically ill patients. They lack medication, and those people are dying every day. And also the traumatic effect, the psychological impact, the scars, the trauma. People haven't had a one night of proper sleep. The drones, the Zananas that fly over Gaza, it just screws your head. There is contaminated salty water. There is no electricity. Even I think something. Palestinians are lucky in Gaza to have internet. You know why? It's not because, they didn't shut it down. They want to monitor and spy on Palestinians, what they share, what they say. Yeah. So this is the only thing that they allow to Gaza, the internet. They want to see what's going on. They want to monitor the signal of mobile phones of wanted people, and the types of weapons and missiles and rockets they use. It's unbelievable. People telling me, they say that sometimes a building next to you collapses and you don't hear a sound. People are burned alive while there are no shrapnel on their bodies, no rockets around them. So they test their advanced weapons on Palestinians. The only solution is ending the occupation, allow Palestinians to have an independent Palestinian state. But Israel doesn't want that. So some Palestinians, I don't mind myself to have one secular democratic state for all of its citizens, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, color, religion. Everybody lives in peace and harmony, in coexistence, but with equal rights. That's why when Palestinians and pro-Palestinians shout the slogan, Free Palestine from the river to the sea, they are not calling for the extermination of the Jewish people. They are asking for their equal rights from the river of Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea. But the Israelis, of course, they say the land is too short, the land is small, and we are not willing to share it. But again, they are big-headed. They will never feel safe or secure because they are occupying, they are stealing other people's land. And those people, they will not live, they will not forget, they will not rest until they get their inalienable rights back, their lands back.
Every single Palestinian I know that I've ever talked to is able to separate Zionism and the politics from Judaism itself. If you just take time and talk to people, Palestinians, what they want is simply peace and for everyone to live in that land together. I don't care if you're Jewish, atheist, Buddhist, this anti-Semitism stuff just needs to go. We're protesting what the military is doing. It has nothing to do with your identity. It's just absurd. It's the whole thing. Last night in my show, there were a number of Jewish people attending my film screening. And the lady approached me and said, I love the film. I didn't know Gaza was beautiful like this. And I said when I answered one of the questions, I said the change has to come from within the Israeli society. They have to realize that they have to deal and live and accept Palestinians are the indigenous people of the land, and to ask for their forgiveness and to compensate them for the losses of all those decades and loved ones. But she said she doubts that there will ever be peace. Herself, the Israeli society, they are indoctrinated. They are brainwashed. They are told that Palestinians are lesser of human beings. And so we have so much support from our Jewish brothers and sisters across the world. They join our marches in London, elsewhere. It's not a religious war, but Israel wants to change it to be a religious war. Israel is a Jewish country, of course, and there are some roads in occupied Palestine, Israel, some cemeteries, some places only for white Jewish people. Black Jews, they're not allowed to be buried in the cemetery, or they're not allowed to seek a certain road. So even the segregation and racism is amongst Jewish, black and white. It's not only against Palestinian Christians. And by the way, we have Christians in Gaza. They are banned for life to go to Bethlehem. Jesus was Palestinian, and he was brown. So where are the Christian Zionists? Why they are not defending Palestinian brown Jesus? It's always my question. What's your suggestion for people to do? What's the best thing that individual action people can do?
To continue raise awareness and educate yourself. Don't believe the some of the Western media out. Don't believe the distorted and fabricated news coming from the Israeli side, because the whole world is shocked to realize that what they stated on the 7th of October was blatant lies, about the babies, about the raping of the women. It all lies. It was proven, debunked. So I think people have to educate themselves. You have the internet, you have Palestinians, invite them, ask them questions, and you can judge by yourself. People are smart. They have the internet, and of course they can attend rallies, they can attend workshops, watch so many Palestinian films. There are so many books written on this cause. So don't be intimidated, because I know some people lose their jobs. Maybe they are afraid to speak out in public. But believe me, these terminologies are not scaring us anymore. We are Arab, Palestinians, Muslims. We are Semite, so we cannot be anti us. I still think they are using this term only against white people in the West, or against anybody who's not Arabs. So I think we need to keep the pressure. Keep protesting outside Israeli embassies. Keep protesting against, outside your governments, to take action, to stop collaborating with them, to stop exporting arms to the Zionist state. There is so much can be done. Ireland is one of the countries that is pro-Palestinians. Of course, there are many other similarities across Europe, Spain, and those officials are awakened. They have awakened. There's a consciousness now. People in those countries, they say not in our name. Jewish people who are against this genocide and the occupation, they are often described by their own fellow Jewish brothers and sisters as self-hating Jew, because they are showing solidarity with justice with Palestinians. So the world is changing. There is a shift. The tide is changing, but it might take time. Young people in the United States in campus at universities worldwide, there is so much going on, and I think Israel has to admit and realize that it will never be able to sustain its military occupation, because the United States is supporting and financing this occupation, financing this genocide, enabling this genocide by sending weapons. But maybe Trump, maybe other presidents, one day they will say, stop, we are not willing to give you our taxpayers' money. Just, rely on yourself. For how long the American people, they will accept that their tax money goes to another country?
Yousef AlHelou, thank you very much.
And remember, your freedom, guys, is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinian people.